Chapter 1. Bed-Stuy Origins and the Making of World. Damion Hardy was born November 3, 1974, in the Bedford-Stuyvesant section of Brooklyn. He wasn't born into the game. As a kid, he went to Queen of All Saints Elementary School in Fort Greene, and later Bishop Laughlin Memorial High School, a Catholic prep school that also produced people like Mark Jackson, Rudy Giuliani, and the notorious B.I.G. The nickname World came from basketball culture. People said his game reminded them of NBA guard World B. Free, so World stuck to Damion, while his older brother Myron got the nickname Wise. By the late 80s and early 90s, crack was fully embedded in New York, and Lafayette Gardens, LG, and Bed-Stuy was a serious hub. Hardy and his circle started as young runners for older dealers who controlled the projects, soaking up the structure, the money flow, and the politics of the buildings. Chapter 2. Building the Cash Money Brothers, CMB. Around 1991, Damion and Myron took the step from workers to bosses, forming the Cash Money Brothers, CMB crew, just as CMB's core included Aaron eBay Granton, Dwayne Thor Myers, Ken Wayne Stroh Jones, Robert Trub Footman, Carl Big Jim Davis, James Jimbo Ferrier, Lamont Sambo Johnson, Zara Puff Sarkisian, Ishin Shah Campbell, DJ Barra DJ McMillian, Alan Boo Bryant, Abubakar Rahim, and others. According to federal prosecutors, CMB took over the crack trade in LG by pushing out older dealers and using apartments in the projects to cook, store, and bag cocaine, controlled LG for more than 10 years through intimidation, near-daily gun battles with rivals, and a reputation for shooting not just enemies but also witnesses and innocent bystanders who got in the way. On paper, they were charged as a RICO enterprise, a classic drug organization with a hierarchy, turf, Lafayette Gardens, and a pattern of drug trafficking, kidnapping, robberies, and murders used to protect the business. Chapter 3. The War with Peanut Davis, the Six Murders. The spark, Myron Wise Hardy gets killed. One of CMB's main rivals in LG was Ivory Peanut Nut Davis, another crack dealer with his own people. On June 12, 1999, Davis's nephew Rumel Davis shot and killed Damion's brother Myron Wise Hardy during a turf dispute. That killing becomes the emotional and strategic turning point. From there, according to the feds, Damion was all in on revenge. The 6 murders he was ultimately convicted on at trial. Hardy and his main shooter Aaron eBay Granton were convicted of 6 murders in aid of racketeering, plus related violence. These 6 victims were Michael Colon, 1998. Hardy felt Colon had disrespected him at a roller rink and ordered a junior member to kill him. Moorlaw Darrell Hamo Baum, June 10, 2000. A close friend and bodyguard of Mike Tyson, and also known in street lore as the man who shot 50 Cent. Prosecutors say Hardy targeted Baum for his ties to Peanut Davis. Granton shot Baum in the back of the head on a Bed-Stuy corner. James J.R. Hamilton, August 1, 2000, ran the Filet of Soul seafood restaurant in Brooklyn. On Hardy's order, Granton walked into the restaurant, shot Hamilton dead, and fled with a driver. Tyrone T. Rock Baum, July 25, 2003. Darrell Baum's brother, believed to be seeking revenge for Darrell's murder. Hardy allegedly sent a team to track him to a construction site and shot him 3 times in the head. Ivory Nut Peanut Davis, August 10, 2000. The rival boss Hardy blamed for Wise's death. Granton shot Davis twice in the back while he sat in his Range Rover outside Club NV in Manhattan. Davis crashed the car and later died of his wounds. Johan Joan Kamitz, August 10, 2000. A 38-year-old Swedish filmmaker, totally unrelated to the beef. After Davis was shot, his SUV sped off, hit Kamitz as he crossed the street, ripped his leg off, and flipped. Kamitz died in the hospital. Prosecutors painted that streak as the heart of Hardy's world of violence around Lafayette Gardens, all tied back to protecting and avenging the CMB drug operation. Chapter 4. Federal Heat. Investigation. Arrest Indictment. By the early 2000s, CMB was firmly on law enforcement's radar. An 18-month joint investigation by the NYPD, FBI, and ICE targeted the crew, focusing on murders, witness intimidation, kidnappings, and crack trafficking in Lafayette Gardens. Key moves: August 15, 2004. Hardy flies back into JFK after a months-long religious pilgrimage in the Middle East, where he'd reportedly been arrested twice on unrelated issues. Federal agents grab him at the airport. July 19, 2005. The U.S. Attorney's Office in the Eastern District of New York unseals a big RICO indictment. Damion World Hardy, plus 12 other CMB members charged with racketeering, 5 murders at that time, attempted murder of a witness, kidnapping, and large-scale crack distribution. Department of Justice. A superseding indictment in 2008 boosted the case to 26 counts, adding more murders and firearm charges on top of narcotics and racketeering conspiracies. Chapter 5. Schizophrenia, Forced Medication, The Long Wait for Trial. From 2004 to 2015, Hardy sat in federal custody while lawyers fought over whether he was competent to stand trial. During this time, he was diagnosed with schizophrenia and at one point found incompetent. He allegedly assaulted inmates and staff, including hitting a guard with a sock filled with batteries and using a toothpaste tube filled with urine, leading the government to argue he was dangerous and needed medication. In 2013, an appeals panel authorized forcible antipsychotic medication to restore him to competency so the trial could finally go forward. By the time jury selection started, he was being involuntarily medicated with haloperidol under Judge Frederick Block's order. This decade-long delay is why you see headlines like "Case dragged on for years." A big chunk of that was competency litigation, not the actual trial. Chapter 6. The Trial, the Verdict. The time he received the trial. Trial start, April 1, 2015, Brooklyn Federal Court, EDNY. Co-defendant, Aaron eBay Granton, CMB's top enforcer and hitman. The government brought in multiple cooperating CMB members, including Shelby Moo Henderson and Alan Boo Bryant, who laid out internal beefs, robbery missions, drug runs, and Hardy's orders to kill Davis, both Baum brothers, Hamilton, and others. The jury also heard about the kidnapping of Ashabuddin Shakur, a drug dealer bound and held at gunpoint in a CMB apartment, rescued by NYPD who found an AK-47, a possible plot to kill Mike Tyson after Tyson allegedly put a $50K bounty on Hardy, and another man following Darrell Baum's murder. The RAN Report. Guilty on all counts. On April 29, 2015, the jury found Hardy and Granton guilty on all counts: racketeering, narcotics trafficking, kidnapping, firearms, and all 6 murder counts in aid of racketeering. The death penalty had been authorized back in 2007, but later taken off the table in 2014 by then Attorney General Eric Holder. So the maximum became life, not execution. The RAN Report. Sentencing. 6 life terms. On May 11, 2015, Judge Frederick Block sentenced both Hardy and Granton to 6 terms of life imprisonment, effectively life without parole. Family members of the victims spoke in court. Media reports describe Baum's relatives calling Hardy and Granton dangerous and vicious, while Hardy, heavily medicated, said only, "I am 100% completely innocent." Chapter 7. His organization in summary. To recap CMB in one place: Turf Lafayette Gardens housing project in Bed-Stuy, Brooklyn. Primary business: crack cocaine distribution from about 1991-2004, using multiple apartments as stash and production spots. Enforcement style: shootings of rivals, intimidation of witnesses, kidnappings, robberies, and retaliatory murders tied to the Myron Hardy-Wampina Davis feud. Structure: Hardy as leader, Myron as co-founder until his death, Aaron Granton as primary hitman, with a roster of lieutenants and drivers who were later indicted alongside him. Chapter 8. Where he is now. As of the latest public records, Hardy is in Federal Bureau of Prisons custody. Listed location: USP Hazleton, a high-security federal penitentiary in Brewston Mills, West Virginia, with a life sentence and no scheduled release date. He's around 50 years old now, and some records note that at one point he changed his name to Issa Ibn Jibril, though his federal case and BOP records still reference Damion Hardy. Realistically, short of a successful appeal or some extraordinary legal move, the sentence means he will die in federal prison. New Jack City came first, 1991. The film New Jack City dropped in March 1991, featuring Nino Brown and his crew, the Cash Money Brothers, CMB. It was hugely influential, especially in New York's crack-era neighborhoods. Damion Hardy's CMB formed after the film Damion World Hardy and Myron Wise Hardy began building their crew in the early 1990s, right after the movie came out. People who grew up in Bed-Stuy at the time have repeatedly said the name was borrowed from the movie, because the real crew was based in the same era and same kind of environment as the film portrayed. Kids in Brooklyn were obsessed with New Jack City, style, crews, language, all of it. Multiple court documents call Hardy's CMB a real-life version of the movie's gang, not the inspiration for it. Why the name stuck? It wasn't just copying. The movie projected a specific image of power, money, and ruthlessness that young hustlers admired in the early 90s. So Hardy's crew adopting the name was a mixture of branding, reputation, cultural influence, and the Nino Brown fantasy a lot of young dealers had back then.